Hello, welcome. This is Amy the Mystic Rose Tarot. It is Sunday, December 13th, 5:45. I'm doing this a little bit later than I had planned. This is the third decan that I will be discussing for the month of Sagittarius, 20 to 30 degrees. And we're going from December 12th, which was yesterday, to December 21st. And as I've been doing in the last few months, I'm using the Unified Esoteric Tarot as my guiding card. And then I'm pulling 3 cards. The card of reference for the third decan is the 10 of Wands. And I'll explain that whole process. But this is sort of my, probably the best way to say this is my weekly decan forecast. So what I love about this is it merges astrology with the tarot, and that's what I've been focusing on the last few months. And I'm getting more in depth into it and building a knowledge base for me, so I can do more specific readings around that. But let's get to this week. Again, this is the third decan. 20 to 30 degrees, which is the last 10 degrees for the sign of Sagittarius. And I need to point out, and if I remember, I'll say it at the end, the decans, the astrological correspondences that are used in the Unified Esoteric Tarot and also the Thoth Tarot are fixed. Okay, so the card for the Unified Esoteric Tarot, its reference is Sun in Sagittarius. And the Thoth Tarot has a different planet that rules in that sign of Sagittarius. I don't know it right now off the top of my head, but these are fixed. So this isn't a current astrological placement. We are obviously in the Sun of Sagittarius, but we're at the tail end of it. So I'm going to focus a little bit on that, discussing those elements. And to bring people up to speed, a decan usually represents anywhere between 7 to 10 days within an astrological sign period. And a decan is usually within the week. So 7, give or take, to 10 days. And it is during that decan period, we go 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Some people use different numbering systems, but that's the basics. So during those decan periods, 0 to 10 degrees, and like I said, this week we're December 12th to the 21st. This is a time that you do work with the planetary influence and the sign that it is placed in, and also the guiding source of the tarot card that is associated with that decan. So each decan in the minor arcana is assigned an astrological, or is assigned a card for each decan period. So we're in the 10 of Wands. Our 10 to 20, we were in the 9 of Wands, and 0 to 10, we were in the 8 of Wands. So it holds for one astrological month 3 tarot cards for each decan. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to be moving into Capricorn. So next week in Capricorn, we're going to be in a different planetary influence in the sign of Capricorn. And we're going from 0 to 10 degrees in Capricorn. And that'll be, I'm not sure of the week yet, probably the 22nd to maybe the 29th or 30th. But check back in after the 21st, and I'll have that decan reading for that period in Capricorn. So to get going, as I mentioned, I'm using the Unified Esoteric Tarot. And this is our card here. Okay, it's influences of adventure. And as we know for Sagittariuses, they are adventurers, they are explorers, they are always looking what's on the other side of the horizon, optimistic, free-spirited individuals. So the previous Decan that I had, I'm just going to show this really quick. I don't want to get into a discussion to get sidetracked, was spontaneity or spontaneous action. And this was for our 10, 20 degrees. And then from 0 to 10, this is all placed in the sign of Sagittarius, but with a different planetary influence. We have motion. Okay, so this was the beginning of the month of Sagittarius, 0 to 10 degrees. Our 10 to 20 degrees of Sagittarius, spontaneity. And then ending here is adventure. So I want to show those two previous cards because we're seeing that energy of Sagittarius being held in those decans. And with the influence of the assigned minor arcana card. The previous decan was 9 of Wands, 10 to 20 degrees, 0 to 10 degrees was 8 of Wands. So we use that influence from that minor arcana card to guide into our week. So for this closing week, we're full steam ahead with the influence of the Sun in Sagittarius. We're using all of those characteristics of Sagittarius, which is just like going into that unknown realm. This is the week if you're feeling the need to be a little bit more adventurous. And I know tomorrow we have a solar eclipse and new moon in Sagittarius, both placed in the same signs, obviously because the sun signs in Sagittarius, but the new moon's going to be in Sagittarius. So there's going to be a lot of probably not going back and forth, but trying to find a nice balance between the energy of a solar eclipse and new moon being held in the same sign. And that's actually not going to be too bad because the new moon is a time of reflection, release, banishing. The 2 days before the new moon, you could start focusing on that energy. What do you want to get rid of? What do you want to lessen in your life? What do you want to bring in? Okay. When you want to start bringing in, you start doing that 2 days after the new moon. And that's known as the witch's new moon. The moon is waxing. It's starting to gain more light. At that point in the moon's position, waxing, is when you start initiating what you want. You start focusing. You start putting your thoughts, your energy towards that. So it's a time to be adventurous in the sense with this card because I'll show it again. We're going to be exploring. This is a time, as I mentioned, with the solar eclipse and new moon, because we're trying to banish things. But I think this is a good placement because this would allow anyone who has a lot of Sagittarius influences or some Sagittarius in their astrological signs, just to stop and take a moment. Whenever there's a new moon or if there is an eclipse, it's not a time to really initiate things. It's a time to just take a few minutes, some time, look what needs to be done. And if it's something that you want to bring more of, more optimism, you want to be more free-spirited, look at what you've done in your life. What is missing? What have you already done? And you want to maybe get rid of. Now is the time to do this. Start being that adventurous individual in creating that energy that you want to see. Be optimistic. Look beyond that horizon. I think it's the best way to explain the energy of Sagittarius. Also, they're learners. They like to learn things. And that's where their background comes in with traveling, exploring, going to places that maybe they shouldn't go. But it's that curiosity. Almost similar to Scorpio in a sense. Scorpio likes the darker side of things, and the darker, the better it is for them. They like the mysterious. They like the unknown. They want to see what they can get from it. So almost similar energy. The Sagittarius is very obvious with theirs. They're very, once they find something and it really works with them, they really like to, look into it and grow from there. So that's with the Unified Esoteric Tarot. Okay, so the card of influence for the 20 to 30 degrees in Sagittarius is the Ten of Wands. Okay, so the Ten of Wands is the culmination. It is done. Basically, the nines in the minor arcana are basically those ends. You're tying up everything that needed to be done. It's already done. The Ten of Wands is now taking that time and looking at what has been done and prepare for the next few steps. What's going to be ahead. But what's interesting with the Ten of Wands, I have 3 cards, which I normally show when doing my Decan readings, just to visually get different references and also details about it. The Ten of Wands is really, you've pushed your limit. You've overextended. You've actually went over your limits. You've overextended the responsibilities that you've committed yourself to. The journey has been full of challenges, but also successes. You've put all your energy. Remember, Wands is a fire sign, or is a fire suit, and it involves movement, energy, creation. Sometimes very quick, depending on the sign and the placement. And you've come to that apex. You've gone as far as you can. There's more work that needs to be done, but with the Ten of Wands that shows up in a reading, I would emphasize, just take a minute. Like I said earlier, just look at what's been done. Ask for some help. If you feel you need to continue, if you like how things have been moving and how they've been progressing, and you still want to go forward, but your energy is pretty depleted, ask for help. Ask for someone who's been watching. Ask for help from someone who has been watching your progress and may want to contribute to help you and maybe guide you in a different direction. But it's really important that you don't overexert yourself during this time. And this is a card that would probably point more towards people who are workaholics. They just keep working. They can't stop until their body tells them to. And then at that point, you obviously have to rest, and then you have to have your backup support, if you will. So with these 3 cards I'm going to be showing, okay, this is the Lumina Tarot. And here, you see the fox. The fox represents movement, also intelligence. So the way I would interpret the Ten of Wands, even though with the Unified Esoteric Tarot, the fixed correspondence is the Sun in Sagittarius, I would use the Ten of Wands, and by looking at this fox, he's on top of his heap, his work pile, if you will. And he seems to be content where he is. There's the term, work smarter, not harder. And in this case, this person, this energy here, I feel, is a combination of both. The fox worked smarter and knew how to put that intellect, that intelligence into the work so that you aren't feeling so overexerted. You put your thoughts, as you were working, you were carefully planning everything. And that's what I feel here with the Ten of Wands. And also, it's also recognition of all the work that you've accomplished. You're feeling inspired. You want to keep moving. And there may be some uncertainty what lies ahead, but you know you have to keep going. Hence, 10 is the end of the journey, beginning the next journey. We go back to the Ace of Wands, and we begin the second phase. And we see any progress that comes from that, the next part, or maybe some losses. Again, it's all part of the process. But be open-minded. Be that adventurer, for Sun and Sagittarius. Take the chances. Sagittarius are risk takers. And, they're aware that if there's a responsibility involved in taking a risk, if it goes against them, then they have to be called to it. If it works for them, even better. So take that chance, but also plan how things from here on end, how you want to do things. And again, with the 10 of Wands, I'm strongly feeling that this fox, the energy, the characteristics, that the individual planned carefully and completed their work. It's like, okay, I'm done with this task. Okay, let's go to the next one. Pace yourself. It's very important. The next card for the 10 of Wands is, as you've been watching, I've been working with the Lumina Tarot. The next one's Tarot of the Holy Light. And I'm going to alternate Forest of Enchantment with some other decks. But I think my two decks I'm going to work with for showcasing the Decans are going to be the Lumina Tarot and the Tarot of the Holy Light. Oops. Which this card is. So here with the Tarot of the Holy Light, to back up, I just want to show different energies pictorially and how the meaning of the 10 of Wands can come into play under different circumstances. So here, Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Teller. The 10s in this deck, 10 of Wands, Swords, 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. The 10s in this deck culminates the energy of the fire signs, water sign, earth sign, and air signs. So here we see a culmination. We see the joining of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And here, if you look at the scene, we have sun, moon, different levels of consciousness. But here we have two snakes that are on crosses. And Christine mentioned that this is a crucifying of our energy. So in this case, for the 10 of Wands, I'm just going to focus on Sagittarius. We see the culmination, but we also see how at some aspects we didn't make good choices with our actions. We may have explored, we may have been optimistic towards things, and maybe it didn't quite turn out the way it did. Again, using energy in a misplaced manner, which caused us to basically feel our own death with everything that we've been trying to work on. This is a culmination of the initiating, stabilizing, and transforming qualities of all the fire signs. Okay, initiating energy is with Aries, stabilizing Leo, because it's a fixed sign. Aries is cardinal. And Sagittarius is mutable, and that's transforming. So it uses its energy to shift its environment, so it can learn, it could shapeshift, it can grow into a new realm that it had never explored before. These actions, initiating, stabilizing, and transforming, are creative, active, and the shifting experiences in our journey. And we have to watch how we maintain this. So for the 20 to 30 degree Decan in Sagittarius, let's watch how things are moving right now, how things are shifting. And astrologically, we have a lot of shifting going on. I'm going to say starting tomorrow into our winter solstice with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which you will be hearing more, if not already, about. And that's going to be placed in the sign Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. So there's going to be a lot of visionary thinking and rebellious way of doing things and whatnot. It's going to be very transforming, but in that sense, it is an air sign. So it's going to be transforming through the use of the mind and how it interacts with people. But here, again, let's go back to the serpents. Serpents represent Kundalini energy. It's the movement from our root chakra all the way to our crown chakra. But here, again, as I mentioned, the energy wasn't used properly and it depleted. It killed its life force, if you will, and it's hurting. And it's a time, like with all the 10s, you need to stop. This is a way, I guess, of Christine saying it's time to do a timeout and kind of let whatever has been done to that point, come to a standstill, or let it keep going. Let it transform itself. If you can't finish what you've started, and you can't get to that point, let it go. Maybe it'll run its own course. But just bear in mind, everything, this is very key for the 10 of Wands, everything that you have been working on, whether the outcome was negative or positive, it's been recognized. Your effort has been recognized. And the goals that you have will continue. They are powerful. They are shape-shifting. They are transforming. So in this case, just let that energy go with the 10 of Wands. And this applies to all the other signs, but under different elemental influences. So it is the culmination. How the culmination comes with what you've created, activated, and what you've transformed. Let it run its course. Don't control it. And if it goes in a certain direction, you'll cross that bridge when you get to it. Again, it's the 10 of Wands. You'll go back to that cycle at the Aces, at the beginning, at the initiating point, the next phase. But right now, focus on, taking care of yourself and not pushing, not overextending again. And let whatever work's been done, move on its own. The next and last card that I have here is from the Forest of Enchantment. The Forest of Enchantment was a deck I got about a year ago. And it enlivens for me during the winter months, because I got this deck the tail end of last November going into December. So I worked with this deck quite a bit. But the card I got, the names have been changed in the Forest of Enchantment. This is the 10 of Spells, which represents the wands, fire energy. But here we're seeing something different. The scene is set up where we're seeing a group of women, and the storyline is set up that they were out dancing, having a good time, releasing, letting go, having fun, but they overdid it. You know, that there's work that needs to be done, and in this card, they overdid it. They're tired. I believe the scene in this card is that dawn is coming, so the sun is beginning to rise. And I'll move the card closely. You could see the person here in front of the group of women, just like, yeah, just kind of pushed it. And this is something to reflect on for Sagittarius. You may have gone beyond your own limits, and you're going to feel overwhelmed. But you know, you always stop. Okay, there's always more ahead, and don't. You know, it's a time that you can reevaluate again your actions, what you've done. There's nothing to be you know, embarrassed by. Just put more mindful action into what you are achieving, and keeping in mind what needs to be done ahead. You know, so like the 10 of Wands here, there is intelligence, there is rational thought put into the actions to complete the goal and get it done. And also knowing that there's more work ahead. But here with the 10 of Wands in this card, from the Lumina Tarot, I don't feel there's any exertion, like tired or suffering, being crucified. Again, watch the energy. Watch how you are using your energy. And Sagittarius can keep going on and on. Nothing can stop that sign unless something comes to shake things up. Health issue. Sagittarius, I believe, rules the hips and thighs, which is the momentum, is the strength for movement. So kind of watch that. A lot of dancing, a lot of running. Try not to overexert those body parts. Those are the body parts that are ruled by Sagittarius, hips and thighs. Capricorn does the lower part, shins, knees, ankles. And those are vulnerable parts too, because the ankle is stabilizing. The hips and the thighs are the strength. You know, that gives the momentum for Sagittarius. So just to quickly recap, this is for the Sun, Sagittarius. Be adventurous, but again, use the guidance of the 10 of Wands to not overexert yourself, not get too overwhelmed by what's going on. Pace yourself, especially this week. You know, as I mentioned, the eclipse, the new moon in Sagittarius, it's a lot of energy. So use that time just to take it easy. If you have to do work maybe more at home. Not so much heavy workload. You know, a lot of, if you're lifting or anything like that, something that involves a lot of movement in your work, just slow the pace down. And then take that time. I think tomorrow's the perfect day to do it, just to see what has been created so far. See how it's been progressing, what needs to be changed. Okay. Again, I like this card. You know, you're being mindful with what you're putting into your hard work. And it's being recognized. You may not see it, but it is. People are seeing the work that you're doing. But just slow the pace down. And then we get into Capricorn the following week, and that'll be a week where it's ruled by Saturn, which is discipline. And then we have Jupiter ruled by Sagittarius. So we have opposite planetary energies with a sign that's so expansive and whatnot. So try not to overdo it. So I will leave you with that. I will see you back on December 22nd, 23rd. Either one of those days. I'm going to try and do it on the 22nd. And any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. All my information's in the description to reach me via my website or Instagram or here on YouTube. So that's it. I will be tomorrow's Mystic Moon Monday. So tomorrow I'll be talking about the moon energy. So I'll be discussing the new moon and solar eclipse in Sagittarius and going more into detail about those energies. So for this week, 20-30 degrees, third decan, last decan for the month of Sagittarius. Be adventurous. It's also a time of letting go. Okay, don't be fearful of that. Should be a little bit more easily done since we're heading towards the end of the year. And again, progress. Look at what's been created so far, what needs to be changed, what needs to be rid of during this week. And put your heart and soul into it. Really put your intentions of the changes that you want to make. And also to take care of yourself. Watch your thighs and the hips when working or doing any form of movement for Sagittarius. Alrighty. Have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon. And I will see you on the next Decan reading for Capricorn. And that'll be the 22nd or 23rd. And hopefully I will see some of you on tomorrow, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time for Mystic Moon Mondays. And talk about moon energy, moon phases, the signs that they're placed in, and leave the discussion open. Alrighty, I will catch everyone again soon.